Myself for 5 minutes. Dr. Nye, I want to ask you about some of your experiences and successes in Utah. And I've always been a fan of taking notes by hand and reading books rather than on screens. I've always kind of felt intuitively that this is a more cognitively beneficial way of doing things. And now, as we've discussed, there's actually a lot of research to bear that out. At the same time, just a couple months ago, we held a hearing where I expressed my view that technology, and in particular AI, has the potential to close achievement gaps and elevate student achievement in ways that we've perhaps never seen before. I don't actually believe that these 2 points of view are inconsistent. I actually think that one of the benefits of emergent technologies is there's the potential to liberate us from our screens. I think there's a growing consensus that the next major computing platform likely won't be screen-based, but will be more integrated with the real world. But even looking at some of the different modalities by which AI tools can be advanced now, you have video, you have voice. So you can imagine, for example, a student that's reading a book or doing a math problem that is able to ask a question just by using their voice and then get an answer that they can hear so that they're not forced to go to a screen and look something up and get pulled into something else. So have you seen examples of that where you can kind of use emerging technologies in a way that actually liberates us from screens and enriches instruction?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman Kiley. I mean, to be clear, to remove technology or suggest that we do so out of a classroom altogether would be a disservice to our students. And so when we're thinking about the appropriate use, what is that technology-enhanced classroom versus that technology-driven classroom? And what we're primarily concerned is what are those, the device itself, whether it's school-provided device or the one that we carry on us as a smartphone, is only as good as what its intended use is for. And the concern and the thing that we're wrestling with in the classroom is when the device is used inappropriately or for means otherwise not associated or attributed to the educational and learning progression process, right? The other aspect of it, to your point, that technology-enhanced classroom absolutely is a place, and our students need to be able to identify the appropriate uses of those, as you've discussed, as well as the AI integration and even blended classroom opportunities. There's a better balance, clearly, not only in the instruction side of it, but of course, we're working to address all those negative uses of the devices as well.
Yeah, and everything is changing so fast that it's, I think, really important for us to be hearing from you about what you're seeing in your classrooms so that we can share best practices and respond accordingly. Dr. Twenge, I also wanted to ask you about your research on brain science, because we've learned a lot about what these devices actually do to the developing brain. I think it was actually Dr. Nye mentioned there's something like 280 notifications the average student gets a day from their phone. And we've learned about sort of the cheap dopamine hits that, that things like social media provide, and then it kind of gets you into this vicious cycle where you need more and more of a hit in order, and the reward is actually less, so then you're doing it more and more, and then it actually sort of undercuts your ability to engage in more fulfilling activities like relationships with friends and that sort of thing. Could you kind of expand on how these devices are actually rewiring the developing brain?
Yeah, and I want to be clear, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I haven't really done fMRI studies or any of that. But what we do know is the effect on attention span and how people end up feeling a compulsion to take that phone out every time it buzzes. And adults feel that. And then think about being 10 and having your first smartphone. And that trains the brain to have that, oh, it's buzzing, take it out. And that happens in school all the time, which is why that bell-to-bell policy is much better, because of maybe they have access to the phone in their pocket, they're not supposed to take it out during class, but they know it's there, they know it's gonna buzz, and they have that response. So this is one of the biggest challenges, I think, is that we have these devices which have radically shortened attention span to the point where many students can't make it through a book, even a short book. So a lot of high schools in English class no longer require students to read books. They've given up. They only read essays and short stories. Even outside of school, so leisure reading is really important for developing empathy, for developing attention span, for learning things. And the number of high school seniors who read anything, a book, magazine, newspaper, anything longer form, every day in the 70s and 80s was 60% who did that every day. And in more recent years in the big national surveys, it's more like 17%. So we see this huge, huge decline in reading books and being able to pay attention for that long.
It's very troubling. Well, thank you very much for sharing your perspective. And I think that, maybe at some point later in the hearing, if you had any tips as well for parents as to kind of little tweaks that you can make, maybe turning off notifications would be a good one, right? Because then you get one, and then you pull out the phone and you check your whatever it might be, Instagram message, and then, oh, here's a reel, and suddenly you're on your phone for 30 more minutes. So we'd love to hear more about that as well. But my time is up, so I will now recognize the representative from Pennsylvania, Ms. Lee.